You know, this is something I've always wanted to do. I think it's probably because I grew up as an Army brat. And so traveling around and talking to my parents and trying to figure out why we have to move so often. And they would teach me about NATO and they would teach me about Congress. And so I said, what do I have to do to be a congressman? They said, you have to be a lawyer because this is the 60s, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, a lawyer like Perry Mason? And they said, yeah. So I can do that. So I became a lawyer and now I'm a congressman. You know, it would have to be a tie between winning the first time in 1995 and running for Congress and winning. They both have different emotions, but both very proud moments. Well, I had actually run 4 years earlier in 1991 and lost badly. So to be able to come back and have an opportunity to serve in the Virginia House of Delegates was just a mind-blowing experience. And then Congress is a little bit different because it's Congress. You know, it's the major leagues.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's how we write policy for not just Virginia, but for 50 states. And so to be able to participate in that process and actually win a seat in Congress. Just going to class every day with my classmates, you know, and meeting the various professors and understanding their journeys. And yes, going to football games on Saturdays, of course, and seeing the marching band. But it was, like you said, a very rich and enjoyable experience. But I think the most wonderful thing about the Virginia Union experience was understanding and learning about liberation theology and what it says to oppressed people, what it says to African Americans, and to understand the African American spiritual journey from when we got here in the 1600s to today. It was a magnificent educational experience. It was an awesome day, as you said. You know, it's like the boulevard was waiting for a name. It has been the boulevard forever, but who just has a boulevard, right? So now it's Arthur Ashe Boulevard. And of course, being there with my CBC colleagues, my Congressional Black Caucus colleagues, and John Lewis was such an honor. And he's such a dynamic speaker. To understand all that he's gone through, you know, being beaten, being bitten by dogs, being a civil rights leader, and oftentimes leading with your head and getting, you know, hit upside the skull. And for him to be such a gentle man and such a loving man after experiencing all that is just awesome. And he's such an example for all of us in the Congress. Yeah. Again, I think you have to be authentic. I encourage them to find a spiritual place because that helps with the philanthropy, that helps with the notion of giving back. You don't have to do it my way. You don't have to go to my church or even share my faith, but find a spiritual place that you can be comfortable with, and that really will take care of everything else. That'll lead to you success both in the community as far as community giving, and that'll lead to success in business or whatever field of endeavor you decide to follow. Because if you are two different people, you're not genuine, right? You're not being transparent, you're not being authentic. So what you see on the floor of the Congress and what you see on the floor of my family room is the same person.